Hey, let me ask you a very important question. Have you achieved the level of financial freedom that you always wanted to? Are you a multimillionaire yet? Did you ever dream of having multi-millions, becoming free financially, that you only work when you want to, not because you have to? Have you achieved any of that? Okay, I gotta confess, in the beginning, that's my dream, and I'm I'm pretty sure a lot of you had that dream as well. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you on the search for that, or have you given up? If you have given up, or if you're still on the search, I got great news for you, because I want to share with you my discoveries, what I learned, so I could get that. Why I want to share that with you? Because God has blessed me and wants me to be a blessing for other people. Let me explain what that means. When I first came to America, I my first job was selling flowers on the streets. Yeah, I sold flowers on the street for $5 a day. That's how much you make. One day I worked for food only, for a Burger King combo. That was my pay, just a Burger King combo, right? That's one of my jobs. That's what I did. Okay, and then after that I got a better job, a car wash, and I started washing cars. Me and my friends, we got this gig at a car wash, and we were washing cars all day long under the sun, wet, sweaty, tired, and we were working for very little money. That was higher than $5 a day, though. That was like $5 an hour, so that was a big scale up, right? Then my aunt got me a job at the hotel where she worked. Then I started working there as a housekeeping. So I started washing dishes in the hotel and then cleaning all the mirrors. I cleaned the mirrors in the hotel and I got paid $50 for the whole day. Oh man, that was the highest I've been getting paid in America, making $50 a day. And I used that money to go to school, to pay for gas and be able to go to school, to high school. Then, and in the place where I used to, in the hotel, the managers there needed help moving, so I started helping moving their stuff from the old house to the new house. That was another job. Then they paid me another $50. I was like, oh man, so I was making $50. That's the most I made in my life. So then my brothers started working at DirecTV, installing satellites. So I told them, hey, teach me. I wanna learn how to do that. And I started helping them install DirecTV satellites. And they showed me and I learned. So I started looking for jobs as a DirecTV installer. So I started making money as a DirecTV installer. I make so much money that I even work with my little brother. We both installed DirecTV satellites, and we were making like $200 uh, a day, sometimes $400 a day, and we split it in half. That was some good money. But then there was time for me to go to college. So I went to college. I worked so hard. I don't know if you've been through this, but I worked so hard in college that I got all straight A's, all A's. I graduated summa cum laude. And my biggest motivation was because my whole life I was told, if you do good in school, you're gonna be rich. If you do well in school, if you do all your homework, if you get all A's in your classes, if you're an excellent student, you're gonna do well financially. You're gonna become rich, and one day you'll be giving jobs to other people. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do, and I focus on that. And guess what? How many of you have graduated from college and have already earned a million? That's not, unfortunately, that's a big lie. They don't teach us what we're supposed to learn about creating a business. I went to an art college, and I was fortunate though. I was one of the very few, I think the only one in the whole graduation that got a job at MTV. That was my dream job, because ever since I was in Colombia, I wanted to come to the United States. And one of the channels, MTV, the MTV network, the music videos. So one of the channels that I used to watch all the time was MTV, and that was my dream job. So they pay me $36,000 a year in New York. So that wasn't that much, but to me it was a lot. I'm like, $36,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So I was so happy going to work at MTV in New York in Times Square. That was a dream made real, a dream come true. That was my dream job, MTV. But then another company in Los Angeles, NBC Universal, hire me and they double my salary, $60,000 a year. I was like, wow, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm making so much money. And then a year later, I was at night. I kept working on my portfolio. I was making music videos. I was more working on my graphics. It was work for TV. So I was learning how to do commercials, learning how to do graphics, learning how to do promos. And then another company double my salary. The name of the company was called Syndrome. They pay me $115,000 a year. So I was like, wow, I'm making so much money. And then what problem was when I got my paycheck, I'm like, where all the $115,000 a year went to? Like more than half of it was going to taxes. Taxes. So in reality, I wasn't making 150. I was making like 55. Plus, after that, you have to pay all the expenses and all that. So I started doing my calculations. I'm like, how many years do I need to become a millionaire? Hmm. I still have to pay for food, rent, uh, gas, cars, expenses, all that stuff. So how long is it gonna take me for me to achieve my dreams? And during that time, I met freelancers, people who had small businesses, and they were doing freelance jobs. So they I talked to them. They told me about it. Listen, if you do this, you earn a lot more money. Some people get paid 500, 600, $700 a day. I'm like, wow, I want to do that. So I started doing that. And then I I was able to make like $200,000 a year. So I thought, oh, this is money. This is great. But then guess what? I was working like so many hours a day. I was working like, I wouldn't say 20 hours a day because I still slept like 8 hours. So between 15, 14 and 15 hours a day, I was working. And what I realized is that the moment I stopped working, I did not earn money. How many of you experienced that? That you stop working and you stop getting money? Like the only way to be able to continue having money coming in, whether you work or not, whether you vacation or stay home or go to the gym or whatever you do, is having businesses or real estate, right? Is there any other way? Having a business that continues to work whether you're there or not, or having real estate that pays your rent every day, or there are a few other methods, other investments. Perhaps you put a lot of money in the bank and the bank just pays you interest, but the interest is not going to be enough unless you have a lot of money in the bank, right? How many of you have experienced that? You stop working, you call your boss and say, hey, I'm not going to work today, I'm sick. Do you get paid? If you're a salary employee, maybe, but most people who only get paid by the hour they work, they don't get paid for those hours. So during those times, my little brother called me and said, Mao, they call me Mao. Uh, I have, you gotta listen to this audio. This audio is amazing. It's called Your Wish is Your Command. And it tells you that whatever you think you attract and whatever you wish is your command and it will come to you. I'm like, man, my brother got scammed. That's what I thought. My brother gets scammed. I'm gonna listen to this to see how I can help him, to see if I can save him. I started listening to him, to that audio, and I thought, this is definitely a scam, definitely a scam. And then as I kept listening to it, because the guy was, his name is Kevin Trudeau, he's not a scammer at all. But in the beginning I thought that's what it was, and he was talking about, hey, we're gonna be on a cruise and we're all gonna grow together in personal development. We're gonna grow together in this cruise. We're gonna share with all the amazing stuff that we learn. I'm like, this gotta be a scam. Yeah, we're multimillionaires. I'm like, this gotta be a scam. There's nobody who's a multimillionaire. I'm working so hard. I'm working so hard more than these guys in the cruise, and I don't have millions. There's no way they can have millions. That's my way of thinking. That was my way of thinking. And then as I kept listening to it, my mind started changing. Everything that he said made sense. So I was so impressed and amazed. And when I called my little brother, Juanga, that thing is amazing. I'm listening all way halfway through, and I'm finishing tonight. Even if I don't sleep, I'll finish it. And that's what happened. I finished it, and then I called him the next morning. I finished the whole thing. This thing is amazing. I'm gonna order the 20 books that he recommends at the end. And I ordered 20 books that he recommended at the end. And I couldn't wait to get those books and start reading it. And then I listened to the whole thing again, and I kept calling me, "Hey, thank you for sharing this to me. This is amazing!" Like, that's the first time I heard about net worth, because my little brother told me, These people have net worth of billions and billions of dollars. So, I mean, who are these people? He started talking about names I never heard of, like Warren Buffett, Jim Rogers, like all these people, these big investors that have tons and tons and tons of money that I never heard of. And I thought nobody has more money than Steven Spielberg and Quentin Tarantino and George Lucas. These are the people who I looked up to. And James Cameron, the director of Terminator and Avatar. These are the people because I was living in Los Angeles. That was like my environment, my industry that I worked on, special effects. So I thought nobody has more money than them. And when I looked up, they have way more money than them. Way more. Like absolutely way more than Steven Spielberg and all of them combined. So I thought, what do these people do? I was even more interested now. So I started reading all these books and I consumed the books. I read one by one. I read all the books. I'm like, wow. And I read Think and Grow Rich. I read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. I read The Power of Thinking Big. I read The Power of Believing. I read all type of books. Every book that was there in the list, I read it all. And then at the end, the last book that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. When I read that book, something clicked. Something clicked in my mind. I'm like, this is it. Because I started then researching the Forbes highest, richest people in the world, and they all had something in common, like any type of business plus real estate, cosmetic plus real estate, cars, real estate, Amazon, real estate, Walmart, and real estate. All of them had something in common: a business and real estate. All of them. So I started thinking, what do they have in common? What they do have in common is that they all have real estate. And when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki talk about real estate and how you can use real estate to be financially free, it clicked. It clicked. Like my mind exploded. And I became so obsessed with it that I read everything about Robert Kiyosaki. He became my mentor. Actually, I met him once. I met him. I really like Robert. I met him and I took the Rich Dad classes, the education about real estate. I learned how to do real estate. And then for a long time, I was just reading but not doing anything. So I thought, how do I put this to work? I was so afraid to making the move, so fearful of making a mistake. Like, what if, I mean, it works for some people. Some people are rich doing real estate, but how do I know if it's gonna work for me? Have you have you felt that? Have you seen some people and you say, these people are rich? Yeah, but it works for them, but it might not work for me. Have you felt that? Because that's what I felt. But I wanted it to work for me. And guess what? It did ended up working for me. And it worked for me so well that I after the second property that I was out of the rat race, meaning I didn't have to work to be able to survive. Like I worked whether I wanted to, not because I had to. Whether I work or not, the rental income was coming in. So only two properties. And with four properties, I became a millionaire. With only four properties. You don't need 1,000 units. You don't need 10,000 units. You need 100,000 units. Like some people talk about, hey, I got $80,000. You don't need that many. Really, you don't need that many. You only need a few to cover all of your expenses, and that way you're free. That way you're free. And I became free. And guess what? Something I noticed about all those books is that they all had something in common. I'm always looking for like something in common out of everything. Like, what do all these books have in common? They all refer to the Bible in one way or the other one. Like, at least a verse from the Bible is in there. And at 40, listen to this part. I was already financially free. Me and my wife were already like traveling the world, going to different cruises, going to Europe, getting to see. We even went to Egypt recently. We went everywhere in the world. And at 40 years old, my 40-year birthday, my wife asked me, what do you want for a birthday gift? And you know what I said to her? Out of the first time ever, this is what I requested. I want the Bible. Yeah, the Bible. I want to read the Bible. That was at 40 years old. That's what I wanted to read. Really, that's what I wanted to read. This big, intense desire to read the Bible came over me. And I started reading the Bible. I'm like, oh my God, God wants us to be rich. This is the God of abundance. This is the God who created gold and said it was good. This is the God who said a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I gotta share this with people. And then I came up with the idea. I'm like, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna share my discoveries. Not about this is not gonna book about my life. Nobody cares about that. But about the discoveries about how I use all the principles to earn wealth because God gave us the power to create wealth. It's also in the Bible. It is God who gives you the power to create wealth. I wrote the book very quickly. In fact, the book wrote itself. I didn't even write it. The book wrote itself. So I'm here making this video for you to give you a blessing that God blessed me with. I want to bless you with the knowledge and the powers that God has given me to create wealth. I want to give it to you. I want to give you that opportunity as well. If you're interested in getting this book, read it because it's going to talk about the mindset, the biblical principles that are in the Bible, and what God wants us to do to be able to achieve your dreams and really become a multimillionaire. So that way you only work when you have to, not because you have to. When you're traveling around Europe or Egypt or Asia or anywhere you're going and you're still making money and your family is good and you're still creating an inheritance for your children's children, this is what I want to share with you. The mindset and showing you the vehicle, which is real estate, that allows you to live the life of your dreams. God bless you, and you're gonna do well. If you made it this far, I know there's something, there's a hunger inside, like as if it was for me, like that ambition inside, that it was that seed. There's a seed that you gotta nourish it, water it, and fertilize it. It will grow. It will grow because it grew on me. It took time. You gotta be patient, and you will achieve financial freedom as well. Thank you. See you around.